These are my favorite recommendations of 2021, Part 3. In 2021, I emailed 157 art-related items to members of my free Sunday recommendations list. For supporters, I recommended 52 more items. The items in this post and the posts from the last 2 weeks are my favorites among them. They include 12 items that were originally shared only with supporters, which are marked in the blog post with 2 asterisks. In architecture, there is one winner, and that is Borromini's Dove of San Ivo della Sapienza in Rome, 1648. It is a stunning piece of Baroque architecture, 2 triangles superimposed with alternating convex and concave surfaces. I really need to visit that space. There are 3 runners-up. The first is Herbert Ryman's Cinderella's Castle at Disney World, Orlando, 1971. Has it ever crossed your mind that somebody had to design Cinderella's castle? It's not a reproduction of a book illustration or of any particular European castle. The designer was Herbert Ryman, 1910 to 1989. Ryman worked as an artist and illustrator for MGM. The Emerald City in The Wizard of Oz, 1939, is his work. Then he was recruited by Walt Disney. At the Disney Studios, he was art director for Fantasia and Dumbo. After Ryman had some fascinating adventures elsewhere, Disney asked him back in the 1950s to produce concept sketches for a unique family park. When the funds had been raised for Disneyland, Ryman designed Main Street, USA and the Sleeping Beauty Castle there. He contributed to the Jungle Cruise and Pirates of the Caribbean. And Ryman is credited as the chief designer of the Cinderella Castle at Disney World in Orlando. And there's a link to an article with more about his sources. Another runner-up is Lucien Weissenberger, don't know, and Henri Sauvage, the Villa Majorelle, built 1901 to 1902. There are certain lines and shapes that my eyes enjoy following, and the exterior of this mansion has a lot of them. I'm judging it more as a piece of design than as architecture, because I wouldn't venture to judge it as a building without having moved through the interior, or at least seen many more photos of it than TripAdvisor has. The villa was commissioned by Louis Majorelle and was among the earliest and most influential examples of Art Nouveau architecture in France. Majorelle himself did much of its interior design. He also created the stained glass steelworking windows at Longwy, which we will see in the Decorative Arts section in a moment. And the last of the runners-up by Zaha Hadid Architects, twin towers that are part of the Shenzhen Bay Super Headquarters Base Business Center near Macau and Hong Kong. The concept images for this are stunning. That's what I'm giving you pictures of. The project was just awarded early in 2021, and I haven't seen an estimated completion date. My first view of a building by Zaha Hadid, who died in 2016, was 520 West 28th Street, which you can see from the High Line in New York City. It looks like a house that the Jetsons ought to live in, and these towers look like the place where George Jetson should work in. Okay, now we move on to decorative arts. The winner is Louis Majorelle, the stained glass windows for the Longwy Steelworks. These 27 glorious Art Deco windows show the steelmaking process in the 1920s. They were designed for the Aciérie de Longwy in Longwy, France, near the Luxembourg-Belgium border, by Louis Majorelle, 1859 to 1926. His workshop completed them in 1928. They are now on view in the Maison de la Formation de Longlaville. Majorelle trained in Paris with naturalist painter Jean-François Millet. Returning to Nancy after his father's death in 1879, he applied his talents in the visual arts to the family's furniture manufacturing firm. In the 1890s, he became a prominent designer in the Art Nouveau style, helping make Nancy one of the European centers of that style. There are 2 runners-up in this category. The first is Hermann Zapf for the font called Zapfino. Sometimes decorative art makes your life beautiful in ways you'd never expect. If you've received any upscale decorative notifications in the past 20-odd years, you've almost certainly seen the elegant swirling Zapfino font even though you might not know its name. Hermann Zapf created Zapfino in 1944 with pen and ink. It couldn't be widely used in print typography until 1998, when adaptation for computers allowed precise spacing. It's beautiful for headlines, although I would not personally use it for text. I think this is a little bit too difficult to read. Zapf, 1918 to 2015, was also responsible for the popular Palatino and Optima fonts and for Zapf dingbats. I've given you a link to a video produced by Hallmark that lets you see him in action, and a couple more links to biographies and so on. The other runner-up in decorative arts is the Gate of the Villa Knopf, 1904 to 1905. I came across this when I had just posted on the Breakers in Newport, Rhode Island, with this elaborate wrought iron gate. Completely different style from wrought iron gate in the Art Nouveau style. Now we move on to music. It's a tie for the winners in music. The Beethoven Project by Paavo Järvi in Bremen dates to 2013. There are a series of 4 videos that give fascinating insights into Beethoven's symphonies by means of interviews with the conductor and the members of the Deutsche Kammerphilharmonie Bremen as they rehearse to perform all 9 of Beethoven's symphonies within a few days. Each of the 4 parts is about 25 minutes long. Hat tip Teresa H. The other piece that's tied for winner is Scott Joplin's Magnetic Rag from 1914. This is the last rag that Joplin, who lived circa 1868 to 1917, published in his lifetime, and it's one of my favorites to play for the melodies and the sheer buoyant energy. I've given you a link to the version played by Joshua Rifkin, who was one of the great interpreters of Joplin. Rifkin's 3 albums of Joplin rags were largely responsible for the revival of interest in this composer in the 1970s. I actually couldn't decide whether I wanted to put this under pop or classical music, because at the time it was pop, but now it's not. And the runner-up in music is Hector Berlioz, the orchestration of the Rakoczy March, don't know how to pronounce that, 1846. The late 1840s saw uprisings against monarchical governments throughout Europe. For a concert appearance in Budapest, Berlioz orchestrated a version of a popular Hungarian folk tune that was associated with an 18th century rebellion against the Habsburgs. In his memoirs, Berlioz recalled, quote, "The hall was shaken by unprecedented shouting and stamping of feet. We had to start again, but on the second occasion too, the audience could hardly or not at all control themselves, just like on the first occasion." In 1851 to 53, Franz Liszt used the same tune for his Hungarian Rhapsody No. 15. Hat tip for this to Heather MacDonald in her article Classical Music Under Racial Attack, which is well worth reading if you have any interest in classical music or indeed in any of the arts. And now we move on to popular music. The winner is Neck for a song called Vivere from the album La Vida Es from 2000. Listening to pop music in a foreign language makes me slow down and pay attention to word order, word choice, and sounds in a way that I often don't when I'm listening to pop music in English. The energy level in this song says, like the words, "I will not give up." Perhaps because Neck was born Italian, his Spanish pronunciation is beautifully precise. If you know even a smattering of the language, you'll probably be able to follow along with the lyrics. There are 4 runners-up. These are not in any particular order. Bo Burnham, Welcome to the Internet, 2021. Brilliantly concretized and eerily addictive, as the net is for many people. It includes some crude language. The song is from the album Inside, which was written, directed, performed, all roles, and edited during the COVID-19 pandemic by Bo Burnham, who was born in 1990. Hat tip Allegra D and Dylan A. A few of the lyrics. It'd be better if I could sing, but I can't sing. Could I interest you in everything all of the time? A little bit of everything all of the time. Apathy's a tragedy and boredom is a crime. Anything and everything all of the time. Another runner-up, Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani, Nobody But You, 2020. This was a Valentine's Day recommendation. As with many pop songs, I agree with some but not all of the sentiments, but I really do like the passion of it. Another runner-up, Ennio Morricone, Theme from the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, performed by the Danish National Symphony Orchestra and Concert Choir, 2018. You need to watch it while you listen. And the last runner-up, Jason Mraz and Colby Kayat, I don't know how you say that one either, Lucky from 2009. This is one of my favorite romantic pop songs. The video is unexpectedly classy, and I love the way the singer's voices harmonize. Moving on to dance. The winner is a video compiled by Terry Swoop of Top 10 Tap Dancers. I offered this for Ayn Rand's birthday. Until I watched these performers in a sequence, I hadn't realized how much posture varies among performers. Savion Glover, who's number 10, has great footwork, but he always seems to be looking down, while the Nicholas brothers, who are number 1, are always dancing tall. The runner-up is Derek Huff and Laura Osnes, Put on a Happy Face, from 2021. Huff's dancing style is much more fluid than Dick Van Dyke's, but it incorporates many of the distinctive gestures from Van Dyke's Happy Face performance. Huff, who first made a name on Dancing with the Stars, performed this tribute at the 43rd Annual Kennedy Center Honors, Dick Van Dyke. Hat tip Stan Maxton. Movies. 1 winner, 3 runners-up. My favorite was The Greatest Showman from 2017. It is not what I expected in a movie about P.T. Barnum. The emphasis is on learning to have confidence in yourself and achieving your goals. The style and mood are similar to Rocket Man from 2019, a very high energy level with wonderful music, singing, dancing, plus some spectacular acrobatics. I will certainly watch it again, which isn't true of many modern movies. I missed this in theaters and was only aware of it from a Bloomingdale's Christmas window in 2017, which had a P.T. Barnum quote underneath. Quote, "No one ever made a difference by being like everyone else." End quote. Hat tip Tim Chermak and the Objective Standard for his recommendation of the movie. And the runners-up, there are 3 of them. The first is Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, 1967, with Sidney Poitier, Spencer Tracy, and Katharine Hepburn. It's a look at race, love, and parenthood in the form of a well-acted drama rather than a polemic. How did I never see that before? Hat tip John P. on Facebook. Another runner-up is Vitus from 2006. It's another movie about making your dreams come true. The hero is a prodigy on the piano and exceptionally intelligent, but he has a domineering mother. I can't think of anything else to say that wouldn't spoil some of the fun, except that I don't think you will guess how he deals with the problem. And the last movie recommendation, Nobody from 2021. It is action-adventure with a fair amount of gore, but it also has a very likable main character who acts with purpose. It makes me think of Liam Neeson's movies, but with a wonderfully appropriate soundtrack and a fair amount of humor, not mocking or campy. Bob Odenkirk, the lead, wrote in the 1980s and 90s for Saturday Night Live and the Dennis Miller, Ben Stiller, and Conan O'Brien shows. The man knows how to do comedy. Moving on to TV. 3 series tied for winner. Crash Landing on You, 2019 to 20. This is a Netflix show from South Korea, the country that also gave us Jenguma. Premise: a young South Korean businesswoman whose paragliding is swept into North Korea by a storm and has to struggle to escape with the help of a soldier who's the son of a high-ranking North Korean politician. It's a very enjoyable miniseries with romance and suspense. Few things have made me so happy to be an American as seeing this film's depiction of North Korea, contrasted with capitalist South Korea. Hat tip Adam Orr. Also tied for winner, Queen's Gambit, a Netflix series from 2020. This is a 7-episode series about a chess champion. I had never heard of her, so I had no idea how the story would end, and that was a good thing. You don't need to know chess to enjoy the series. It deals with friendship, learning, by oneself or from others, and surviving setbacks, quite a few of them. There's great acting and cinematography, including dramatizations of chess matches. The soundtrack by Carlos Rafael Rivera captures the dramatic, suspenseful mood. The hit song from the series, and who'd have thought a series on chess would have a hit song, is I Can't Remember Love. I've given you links to the video and to an interview with the songwriter. Hat tip Eric Kalin for the links to the soundtrack and the song. The third that's tied for winner is The Paradise, a BB show from 2012. It is set circa 1870 in an early department store with romance, intrigue, and inventive marketing. You can get it via Amazon Prime, 2 seasons, 8 episodes each. Hat tip Tom B on Facebook. In 2021, I published The Financial Programs of Alexander Hamilton by a Farmer's Daughter. It took a massive amount of research and writing, but I'm very glad I did it, and happy that it has received such positive comments. Also out this year are the last 2 volumes in my edition of Henry Kitchell Webster's Collected Short Works and Related Correspondence, volumes 3 and 4. That's it for this week. DianeDuranteWriter.com has hundreds of posts on sculpture, painting, architecture, and my other obsessions. To join the free Sunday Recommendations email list, visit the URL on the screen or email me. And you can say, "Well done, Diane," or support my work and receive rewards by means of the tip jar on DianeDuranteWriter.com. As always, thank you for listening.